Elle, this is all part of my plan to slowly take over your show.
Your plan was to forget that we were supposed to be doing this from home. And so, like a nerd, you drove all the way into work and you're sitting in a studio by yourself.
It was a happy accident, but still part of the plan.
Genius. Welcome to the Elle Duncan show with Gary Streisky. This is it. This is it. This is the end of an era. And by that, I mean the end of No Sports November. It's our last.
I've been a fan of this.
Yeah, you've enjoyed it.
This is nice, Elle. We've been able to have regular conversation about stuff that exists outside of sports. When everybody's like, oh, all you guys know is sports. You live in your stupid little bubble. I'm like, oh, yeah? Well, listen to us Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we will be quite the contrary. Contraire? Contrarian? You know what I'm trying to say.
I love that for you, that people accuse you of only knowing sports. I get the opposite. You don't know shit.
Why, Elle? What happened recently? What happened recently, Elle?
We'll for sure get into all of that.
Okay.
Undoubtedly, I've got some things to say, but to mark the occasion of No Sports November, because we will be off the rest of the week, we're gonna feast with our families. We're gonna enjoy Thanksgiving. Then we're gonna get ready for the countdown to Christmas, which
come on,
many parents just basically means that mother elf shows back up.
You're so excited to have Amel pop in with his magic dust and post up.
Yeah.
So actually, for all parents who are listening and watching, they should be thankful 'tis the season. Since Thanksgiving was so late, you guys chopped off like a week of having to put the elf out. If you're one of those families who do it right after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you really do have to like hedge your bets here, because you got to remember, like, as it's adorable, like, yay, post Thanksgiving, there's no letdown. Let's pull the elf off the shelf. You got to move that mother around 27 times or 28 times. So just remember that we're going to start ours on December 1st. And luckily, we're taking a family vacation.
True.
For like 6 days in December. And I'm hoping that gives me like 6 days and I don't have to think about the damn elf. So
where are we going on that family vacation, Elle?
We're just gonna go to Cancun, Mexico.
Oh,
to be real basic and go to Cancun.
I wasn't told about this, but I still have time to book a ticket. I can stay with Omar.
Yeah, maybe my daughter can teach you about Jello shots. Certainly by this point, she's got a bigger liver than you do.
You know what? This is supposed to be the season of thanks. And right now, I'm struggling to find anything to say thank you for. You're being a bully. I'm glad you stayed at home today, Elle.
Oh, man. Well, the internet's probably going to be with you in that 100% I'm a bully. But we'll get to that. Let's do our sports roast first.
True.
Let's get the sports out of the way. How many do you have?
3.
All right. So then you start.
Okay. Kyler Murray is 2-7 against the Seahawks. He has not beaten them since 2020. Hey, Seattle, stop Asian hate much?
There's so many people that are listening right now, like, finding out in real life Kyler Murray's Asian.
Like, no, he's black. Yeah, but he's also Korean. Also Seattle, which is like densely populated with Asians.
All right, the Har Bowl was fun, and Big Brother John gets the best of Little Brother Jim again to remain undefeated in their football matchups. But we all know the only metric that decides sibling superiority is how good is your titty twister.
Dallas went on the road and stole one from Washington. Prior to 2020, this is where I would make the joke about how the Cowboys once again stole from the... All right. All right.
I love jokes that would have made sense years ago.
That would have been able to be socially acceptable only 4 years ago.
Yeah.
They're settling. And when they do, by God, it is ugly. Scoring at the very last second. Are we talking about the Chiefs or me with girls in college? Obviously, we're talking about the Chiefs, because I was a virgin through college.
Correct.
Okay, how would you know?
The Giants' Tommy DeVito era part 2 did not go that well, as they got boat raced by the Bucks in a game where Malik Neighbors said they're soft. And honestly, Malik, you better be careful, friend. Big Cotton may come after you for mocking fibers.
Ayo, because the New York Giants fan base, they are locked in to any slights, perceived, outward, small, big. It does not matter. Ask Elle how she knows.
Yo,
How was your week?
This whole thing has been so bananas. So just to briefly catch you up, those of you that don't know, I, of course, do a segment called Taking the L every single week on SportsCenter, and I have for 3 years. And it's essentially where, I make fun of people or make fun of something that happened in the sports sphere. It's
Sure.
pretty self-explanatory. And so I come into work on Thursday. We usually do Taking the L on Fridays. I come into work on Thursday, and my show group, which is comprised, by the way, of multiple Giants fans, were like, yo, the weirdest thing happened. Like Daniel Jones did like a goodbye presser as if there's not 7 games left in the season. Like at this point, we knew he had been benched. He had not been released yet. And they were like, it was just so bizarre that you're saying goodbye with 7 games left in the season.
Mhm.
And on top of that, he kind of read a pretty boilerplate, set of statements off of a piece of paper, that I'm so glad for the Giants fans. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. In fact, here's a little snippet of what he said.
The opportunity to play for the New York Giants was truly a dream come true, and I'm extremely grateful to the Mara and Tish families for the chance to play here. The Giants are truly a first-class organization, and I have nothing but genuine respect and appreciation for the people who have built it and who helped carry on that tradition. I've met so many special people and created relationships that will truly last a lifetime. Thank you to all my teammates, coaches, and staff that have done so much for me these past 6 years. There have been some great times, but of course, we all wish there had been more of those. I take full responsibility for my part in not bringing more wins.
And if anybody's listened to Daniel Jones since he came into the league, this is very on par with what Daniel Jones would probably say on a day-to-day basis.
Sure. Thanks to the fans. Thanks for this. Thanks for that. Yeah. And then in turn, right, we're all like, wow, the timing of this seems absurd. Let's joke about it. And so on Taking the L, I joked about it. And here's what I said.
You guys think he had this saved in his notes since like 2020? In all seriousness, DJ, I could have saved you like 90 seconds. A rewrite. Sorry you paid me $108 million for one playoff win, and I look forward to reviving my career as Brock Purdy's backup. The end.
Which, Elle, by the way, I've locked into the segment since it's been a thing, and you would agree too, this is probably one of the tamest Taking the L's you've delivered.
So here's the thing that is so humbling about this whole situation. Like, you can work so hard. I am really lucky that at ESPN, I've been on a lot of platforms. I've worked at ESPN for almost a decade now. Like I said, I've been doing Taking the L specifically for about 3 years now on the 6 p.m. SportsCenter. And then, of course, we have this show. The most humbling part of this situation is thinking that people know who you are, like thinking that you have become a person that's a big enough public figure that they sort of know your brand of humor, and realizing how unfamiliar people are with your work. Because to your point, I was like, yo, this is what you're upset with? Have you ever listened to anything I say? Have you ever heard me talk about Brian Kelly on Taking the L?
Hey.
To the podcast? I mean, this is some of the most benign stuff that I have ever said.
Mm-hmm. Giants fans, especially this week, maybe this season as an encapsulation, they're particularly sensitive, Elle. So I'm thinking that this might have just been that little scratch over the scab, all right, that just peeled everything back, and then just boom, open wound.
Yeah.
Because again, I watched it in real time, and I was like, oh, just another Taking the L. And then I saw the onslaught of people's feelings. And of all markets to get their feelings hurt, New York.
Yeah, New York.
Are you kidding me? Like, okay, Green Bay or somewhere Midwest, get your feelings hurt. But New York, you have an entire persona. Your entire existence is being the chippy East Coasters, don't give a care in the world. Like, hey, I'm from New York. I'm walking here. Like, that's New York's existence. So to get particularly perturbed over this Taking the L was a bit befuddling to me.
Yeah, so here's the thing is that I probably helped blow it up a little bit more than it needed to be blown up.
Hmm.
Right away after we do taking the L, I had been like watching, NFL Live and seeing some of our colleagues responding to this Daniel Jones press conference in a very, sympathetic, oh, heartbreaking, And so right away after we do taking the L, I looked at my show group legitimately after we taped it, because we tape it, and I said, we may be alone on this island of thinking that this press conference was absurd. I feel like everybody's doing this whole like, this was magical. This was beautiful what he said. So I knew right away we were going to be the voice of dissent. I am a little bit to blame on how big it got, because I do taking the L. I go on about my life as I tend to do. I come home from work, I'm hanging with my kids, I'm watching Thursday Night Football, it's whatever. I get down the next morning at first take, and I have like emails from people that are like, "Hey," and I have no idea what's going on the social spheres. I've told you before, I hit it
Hmm.
and quit it with social media. I tap in, I tap out. And so come to find out, Giants PR is very upset with
Oh
me.
yeah, Giants PR. I
Yeah,
forgot.
so they're upset with me. Apparently, their vice president of communications like tweeted at me, based on everything that's happened at ESPN over the last few years. I'm assuming with the layoffs, how could I be this insensitive? As if someone losing their job as part of a layoff and having nothing to do with their actual work is
Hmm.
akin to a man having a 6-year opportunity and getting over $100 million to keep his job and being unable to keep his job. As if those things are equal. Those are false equivalencies, first of all. Okay. And I would
Yep.
never make light of someone getting laid off. That is completely out of their control and that is completely unfair, right? That is a part of being in a business. And I know a lot of really great people that ended up losing their jobs because of ledgers. Okay. They are not the same. So that happens. And I tell the first take people before we go on air, like, ooh, apparently, like, Giants fans are big mad at me, or at least the Giants organization is. And so let me address it on first take. And so first take is obviously a very big show. If I had not said anything and not said I wanted to address it personally and confront it head on first take, maybe it doesn't become as big as it does. But it also becomes really big because on first take, when I tell this story, Stephen A. Smith and Ryan Clark come to my defense, and Stephen A. Smith went absolutely scorched earth on the Giants. Here's what he said.
The New York Giants, respectfully, shut the hell up. Y'all are awful as an organization. You won a Super Bowl in 2007. You won a Super Bowl in 2011. Outside of that, since 2011, the Giants have made, that's 13 years, the Giants have made the playoffs twice. They've won one playoff game. And you got the nerve to sit up there and put on and call the officers and complain to executives about
Agreed,
somebody
man.
that went on national television to do their job. Why don't you do your damn job as an
Agreed.
organization? Y'all are sorry.
Agreed.
Y'all are pathetic. The only reason why you get away with it is because the Jets have been worse. Because they ain't make the damn playoffs since 2010. And you got the nerve to sit up there and call the network because you want to whine and moan about your ineptitude being put on public display. Well, maybe if you let people watch it for free and then charge them for coming to watch your sorry ass, maybe you would have been in a position to say something, but you didn't. Go to break.
So I'm just sitting here like, wow, I don't really have to say much. He goes in on the organization. I said my piece and it is what it is. And then it becomes really, really big because it's on first take. So then people are weighing in on whether it was right. Then it becomes an article and then, comes a whole other thing. And here's my thing. I'm going to say this about this whole situation and then we're going to move on from it. The thing is, apart from revisionist sympathy, which is a real thing in sports, last week you won his head, then he gets
Yeah.
benched, and now he's a martyr. Fans do this all the time. They rewrite history. They want to avoid the part of that they were, the complicity that they had in booing this man or in saying they didn't want him as their quarterback. And all of a sudden they want to take a more sympathetic stance, right? It's like we want to boo you and beat you and do all of those things until you're not our guy anymore, and then we don't want anyone else to talk about you. And Stephen A. touched on that a little bit too. You can talk about us, we can talk about us, you can't talk about us. But the thing that I find to be completely disingenuous are the types of people that are attacking me. Because here's my thing, you guys. You cannot be a woman in this space, or really a woman public figure in general, and be incredibly opinionated and not expect that you're going to get this back and forth. And I'm okay with that. I totally respect people saying, I felt like Molly said it on First Take, and I thought she had a fair assessment. It felt like you were dunking on someone when he was already down. It felt like you kicked a man while he was down. That is a totally fair critique to have. That is 100% okay. I am not above reproach. You can say, I don't agree with you. My interpretation of the press conference was it seemed a little disingenuous and the timing seemed really, really, really weird. Of course, by the next day he was released and the timing made sense. But hindsight being 2020, at the time, it was like, why are you doing this? There's 7 games left in the season. This is weird. But if you disagree with my interpretation, that's totally fine. I'm good with the back and forth. I'm okay with you expressing your opinion in the same way that I am paid to express mine. But there are a certain type of people who always find their way into my DMs and into my mentions that I think are absolutely ridiculous. And I don't receive you and I don't hear you. And in fact, because I am a child of the 90s and I grew up loving Bill Engvall's Here's Your Sign. Do you remember Here's Your Sign?
I would need to hear the jingle, Elle.
No, Here's Your Sign. It was like the part of the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, and he would be like make fun of stupid people, and he'd be like, "Here's your sign." Well,
I don't remember that.
in the vein, yeah, you're young. In the vein of Bill Engvall, I'm going to just address a few of the types of people who I will not receive any critiques from because you're a hypocrite. Are you ready?
Yes.
If you've ever lamented at the wussification of America, here's your sign.
Oh, that's a good emoji.
If you booed Daniel Jones mercilessly while he played for your team, here's your sign. If you've ever dubbed someone a snowflake for sticking up for marginalized people, here's your sign. If you've ever DM'd me with stick to sports, and when I do, you change it to stick to cooking, here's your sign.
So I was going to ask Elle if she regretted anything from taking the L, but I think I have my answer. I think it's no.
Here's the thing, you guys. Sports, and the reason that I got into sports in particular, apart from loving sports, is because it is incredibly low stakes. Because when you have an opinion on someone, I don't think that they're the MVP. I think this team's going to lose. It really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, right? And in particular, when you are making fun of an athlete for something that doesn't involve getting injured or something related to their mental health, it is very low stakes. The people questioning my compassion, I am a compassionate person. I just have compassion for people who really need help. I have compassion for people who don't have the same opportunities or privilege that I have. I have compassion for those people and certain circumstances. You want me to show compassion because I made comments about a dude getting benched after getting paid $105 million, the same dude that's going to end up on another team and probably make millions more dollars throughout his career, the same dude who had 6 years to prove that he could be a starting quarterback. Like, really? That's what you all want? That's the line that you draw? Y'all stop it. Just stop it. Stop. Again, if you want to critique the timing of it, if you felt like it was a low blow and cheap shots, that is totally fine. But the second your critique starts with your DEI hire, you're canceled in my mind. Your opinion is rendered irrelevant. The second you ask me, would you have said this about a black quarterback? You are non-contende to me. I don't hear you or receive you, period. I'm never gonna stop speaking my mind, and you can keep beating your head against the wall as much as you want. You're not ever gonna shut me the up because I am paid to give my opinion in sports. It's quite literally my job. It is not yours. Your job is to lay in wait for me to do something that you think gives leverage to open up my mentions to some of the worst people in the world. And that's okay with me because what I do with social media is take my phone, I see DEI hire, get your black back in the kitchen, and I just put my phone back down. You don't exist to me. So you can keep doing this and keep trying to get me to shut up, but I'm never going to.
Elle Duncan, ladies and gentlemen.
Now
that was good.
Now that we've got that off our chest.
So, Elle, you want to talk about our favorite Thanksgiving foods?
No, I want to dunk on someone else. To answer the question, if this was a black man, would you dunk on him? And the answer is yes, especially if that man is Drake. Oh my God, Gary.
Okay, I think that there's something more here.
Gary,
Do go on.
I've never seen anybody dig themselves in a grave and then hit the core of the earth and go, let's keep going. What
Yeah.
is happening here? Like, Drake, what are you doing?
Okay, I understand that Drake right now he's suing Universal Music Group and Spotify because he thinks they're artificially inflating or purposely pushing out Kendrick Lamar's "They Not Like Us" music to enhance the streams. But Elle, don't you think a guy like Drake, who's been in this industry for so long, probably understands the inner workings and the behind the scenes of algorithms at these particular groups? A lot of these groups and a lot of these same algorithms that have helped him gain the success that he has. So don't you think that this lawsuit probably isn't without a little bit of they know something that we don't?
This is pathetic. This is pathetic. This is a man who got roasted and got embroiled in a rat beef that he lost. Rat beef is as old as time. Back in the day, rat beef could get you killed. That is still the case. Okay. At its absolute worst, rat beef it ends up with people actually dying. And that is incredibly sad. And we have seen it happen time and time again. What Drake is doing is he is taking something that was already bad for him. I mean, Kendrick flamed him in a way that we haven't seen in a very long time. He took it to the words. He took it to the lyrics. He decimated Drake with his pen. And now Drake, because 7 months later, he can't just take that L. He is now suing and basically saying there was this mass conspiracy to make Not Like Us bigger than it was. They fired pro Drake. Like, how do you even know that? You have to register your pro Drake card. Like they fired pro Drake people in order to stack the decks against him. This is the same music label he's on. They have a vested interest in making sure that Drake is also popular. He decided, I don't know if it's in his own mind or if it's the people that are around him, decided he didn't lose this battle. The decks were stacked against him from the beginning, and he is Karening the most hip hop thing of all time. Hip hop is beef. It is. And like I said, at its best, it is purely and simply on the tracks. That is where the fight should happen, okay? He is Karening hip hop. You are suing because Not Like Us was so popular, and Kendrick Lamar has rode that popularity. By the way, not just the popularity of dunking on Drake. This man has a Pulitzer, and he's riding that right to the Super Bowl. And someone tweeted, Drake is doing anything he can to not have to hear A minor.
Which just leads me to believe Drake knows something that we don't.
No,
he
can't take this L, and he needs to. I said it months ago. Instead of these diss tracks, that's the other problem. He then released his own diss tracks. None of them were popular because they weren't particularly good or interesting. Because when you go toe-to-toe with Kendrick Lamar, who has a Pulitzer, you're probably going to get pulverized. J. Cole saw it. He was like, yo, I'm Dr. Strange. I see the possible outcomes. I'm going to take my diss track down. I do not want this smoke from Kendrick. Drake didn't. And Drake didn't win this argument. But I said it months ago. The news cycle moves on. Drake should have just disappeared, been the fan experience president for the Raptors, done his thing for a year, come back and release new music and just move on when everybody else had moved on. And he can't let it go. He can't let it go. He's just spiraling. And then he tries to do things like tongue in cheek, some of the things that Kendrick's talking about. He's wearing barrettes in his hair, and it's just weird. It's weird behavior. I said to Bomani Jones, I was like, Drake must hate the people that work for him, because how can anyone co-sign for this? And Bomani said, or maybe it's the people that work for him that hate him back. Like, who's advising this man? This is a huge L on top of the 30 you already took this year. You just keep digging yourself in a hole. It's not okay. And it's not about what you know or this or that or da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's about the fact that you got beat on a diss track. Kendrick didn't shoot up your house. He's not coming for you. He dissed you time and time and time again. Yes, you have become his point of focus for disses. Go away. let it die down, let him come up with new stuff, and then move on. And instead, he is literally being a Karen. I'm going to call the authorities on you for dissing me. It's wild, Gary. It's wild. And I know in this instance, maybe I stood alone. Maybe I was Jon Snow in the Battle of the Bastards on Daniel Jones. I know I'm not alone in this. This is not okay, and this is not hip hop.
Yeah, it's a weird turn to see from a guy who's been generational. I mean, since 2000, Drake's been the guy. So this is weird. It's a weird one for me, Elle. I don't know.
So it sounds like you're Team Drake here.
I'm not taking sides. I'm Switzerland. I'm neutral.
There he goes.
I'm
By the way,
neutral.
Kendrick's new album, fantastic. Love it. Gloria, my favorite song. Okay. Speaking of my favorite song, your guy and a little bit of heat, your favorite artist, Ed Sheeran.
Oh, Eddie.
Interrupting an interviewer. Tell the people what happened.
Okay, so Eddie, as we know, is a minority stake owner in Ipswich Town, and they were playing, I believe, Manchester United.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Manchester United? 1-1 draw. Okay, Ipswich Town ended in a draw with one of the powerhouses, and Man U's manager was having an interview on the Sky Sports broadcast, and Ed Sheeran is chummy with one of the analysts, and he came by to like dap him up, say peace. Apparently interrupted like the live broadcast, and it very much looked like they were live and on a broadcast, but Ed like apparently didn't know they were broadcasting live, so he interrupted the manager giving an answer, and he looked at him and was like, he probably doesn't want to talk to me right now. The manager, like under his breath into the mic though, was like, yeah, you're right. And then he like dapped him up, ruined the interview, and then like walked off, and then just like is just receiving all kinds of backlash for simply doing that, to the point where he had to come out and be like, I'm sorry, I didn't know they were in a live interview. I was just trying to say bye to my mate. Anyway, have a good day. It's weird. God. I mean, Ed Sheeran,
he's a nice guy.
Yeah, but like he's in the business. Like, you know, if someone's holding a microphone up to their mouth, they're probably not doing it to practice, especially if the desk is 6 wide. But again, he's a big fan of the team. They just ended in a draw. I give him a pass. This is nothing. This is nothing to me.
Here's my thing. Whoever's doing this Sky Sports interview, I can guarantee you we would not be talking about your interview with Ruben Amorim if not for the fact that Ed Sheeran interrupted the interview. Who gives a damn? It's a fun, unpredictable moment, right? Like, I've been in these interviews before. You have these fun, like sort of unpredictable moments that happen. Like, on the surface, something like this is so simple and benign and nothing. It's nothing. I've been doing live television at a race before, and a man in the marathon behind me ran past me and smacked me as hard he could in the. That's disgusting. That's not okay. Oh, yeah, he smacked me right on the butt.
When was this?
When I was working in Atlanta. They used to do the Peachtree Road Race, and it was a huge event, and I was broadcasting live from there for my news station, and I go to do my hit. And, you know, we have security standing there because my back is to the runners.
Yeah.
But I did not conceive that a grown man would run by me and smack me as hard as he could on the when I was live on TV, but he did exactly that. And it wasn't funny to me. It was not okay. Sometimes when you're out live and you kind of, these things happen and you have to sort of figure out a way to get through it and laugh it off. I was pissed. I was not happy. I was not happy. I got the police involved. I was like, you need to go run the tape. That's assault. You don't know me. You don't get to smack me on the. What if it had been worse? What if he had something? Like, it's not okay. And so.
Did they find him?
They never found him. But we did broadcast his face.
Oh, that's good.
On our news channel. I don't know what happened to him. I hope he was shamed by his family
for sure.
or his place of employment.
Yeah. No. Well, that stinks for real.
What about you? Have you ever had like a wild thing happen while you were doing an interview?
No, Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran legit not crashed our set a week after F1, but he was at the Celtics game the week after we came back from Miami.
Great.
And he was on the baseline, and we're like, "What up, Ed? Pop on our show." And you know how it goes. Like, you have a rundown, but if somebody like an Ed Sheeran or somebody super famous, one of the athletes warming up for the game, in the game, pops over to your set, everything else goes out the window, and you just have to adjust on the fly. So, I mean, Ed Sheeran literally did this to one of our shows last June. So, yeah, this is a nothing
and it was a great moment.
It's a nothing burger.
Like ran with it, and you promoted it because it was like, look who we got photobombed by. Ed Sheeran just popped by the set. Like, the idea that he would have to apologize for something like this is exactly why social media outrage is a joke and not a real thing.
It's a nothing burger.
The 76ers had to apologize because of their font.
Did you see the font?
No.
Oh,
Let me
maybe
look.
you should.
Yeah. Okay.
What's the score?
99 to 125.
How do they indicate the score? What word do they use?
Oh.
Hey, somebody really got their ass beat. You know what I'm saying? It was the Sixers who got their ass beat. Some say they some say they got their shoved in.
Oh my God. Dude, I missed this so many times. I was like, I'm so confused as to why anyone, because I was just looking at the numbers. I'm like, why does, okay, now I see
Bruh.
it. The final looks like, all right.
Yeah. And the way the Sixers have been playing, like this season,
Yeah.
it's pretty fitting.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, they took one. They got a colonoscopy in that game.
Oh my God. It's a retro graphic, but again, peek behind the curtain. There are so many eyeballs in a graphics department, in a production team, production department, producer team that like sees graphics packages, special packages. So this had to pass through so many sets of eyeballs before it found its way on a final graphic. So kudos to you, Philly.
You're right. I mean, because think about it, just even right here with these two people, I'm looking at this graphic and I don't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why so many people have to like approve it, because I see nothing. And then you're the one that's like, look at the final.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
oh, there it is.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Just looks like a balloon knot.
Oh, that's fantastic. And lastly, and what I think is as soft of a troll job as me dunking on Daniel Jones, Ole Miss proved that if you have something celebratory on your sideline and then you lose, they're going to use that same thing to work on you, right? Like that's what it is. If you're known for your Superman celebrations, when someone sacks you, they're going to stand over you and do the Superman celebration in your freaking face. That's how it works. We saw Baker Mayfield with his Tommy DeVito, you know? By the way, Baker Mayfield's my spirit animal. He's
amazing.
He's the best. I love him.
We love Baker.
I'm a big
We
fan
love
of
Baker Mayfield.
Tommy DeVito. Those people seem to love him, so I just wanted to give them something that they loved. He's the best. But with Ole Miss, they end up losing, right, to Florida. And all season they've had a basketball hoop on their sideline, as you know, it's part of all these gimmicks that they do: turnover chains, turnover shoulder pads, turnover brooms.
Score a touchdown, you dunk on your opponent's hoop. You get a turnover, you dunk. They put their opponent on the back of the backboard, and then they dunk every big play offensively or defensively. And it's great until you take that hoop into the swamp as a ranked team and lose to an unranked team that basically just kicked you out of the college football playoff.
Correct.
So the Florida Gators stole their hoop. They jacked their shit and said, this hoop is now our hoop. They were dunking all over it, Elle. And then Ole Miss, with their tail tucked between their legs, was like, let's send out some of the equipment crew to go get our hoop back from a hostile Florida sideline, to which they did. It was the walk of shame with the basketball hoop. Who hasn't had a walk of shame?
So much I love that Lane Kiffin started all this hullabaloo last week about, well, I know some people that don't want to be in the SEC championship because losing might mean that you get punished, and that doesn't seem fair. And it's like, oh, Lane, little did you know, in my SpongeBob voice, 1 week later, it would not matter at all because
you ain't going to have to worry about playing the SEC title game.
Out of there. So much chaos in college football. I know we're not supposed to be talking about sports, but it was funny because I've been pretty pissed about how they've been treating Georgia. I understand they haven't looked great, but they beat up on Tennessee, who was the number 6 team at the time, and you move them 2 spots for that? Like, what are we doing here? And everyone kept saying, Elle, don't worry. Like, there's going to be so much attrition. So much is going to take care of itself. I didn't know it was all going to happen in one weekend, but here Georgia sits. They'll be in the SEC championship facing either Texas or Texas A&M, the winner of that game. I've got to say, I am hoping that it is Texas A&M.
Yeah, it's for sure, because y'all ain't beaten Texas twice.
Well, it'd be tough to beat them twice, and also because, I mean, you talk about a fan base mad at me. I did horns down, which is basically akin to murder in the football world.
Very true.
Horns down after we beat them, and so they are waiting. I mean, they are waiting. They've probably pulled this thing up in drafts for a month and a half now, just waiting for this rematch. So we'll see what A&M can do, but Georgia should be able to make it into the postseason no matter what, and we'll certainly see. But in terms of who's making it in, we end with this.
Here we go.
Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, that's what
the
you've been waiting
show
for.
we seem to keep talking about, despite neither one of us actually watching it. And I was told, and this is big if true, that they did not eliminate anyone last week. And so the 3 people we've been talking about for seemingly a month now remain: Ilona Maher, Steven Nedorozic, Danny Amendola. Tonight, Tuesday, is the finale. If Ilona wins, because she was my pick, Gary, what do you have to do?
What do I have to do? If your pick wins, what do I have to do?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what's something good I can make Gary do. You know what? I'm going to leave this up to the folks that listen. Drop in the comments what you think Gary should do if he loses and I win. And we're just going to go with like the most absurd thing you can think of. I was sort of thinking something like leaning into stuff that you already really like, making you wear like full-blown makeup on the show.
First of all, I'm glowing right now with no makeup, Elle. I'm all natural. Quick update, unrelated note. For some reason, the comments aren't working on YouTube. For some reason, I disabled them. It's weird. Steven Nedorozic's going to win, so I don't have to worry about this anyway.
All right, what do you have to do if Steven wins?
You have to go to New York City and stand in the middle of Times Square with a sign that says, "I am Elle Duncan. Come say hi." You got to stand right outside MetLife.
Trying to get me like attacked? Like you want me to be assaulted? Damn, Gary.
No. I want people to come say hello. The sign's going to say, "I'm Elle Duncan. Come say hello." We'll figure it out, Elle.
Yeah,
but it's Nedorozic.
Yeah, you think that's who it's going to be? All right. And what if neither one of them wins? What if it's Danny Amendola? What do we collectively have to do?
Well, Elle, that's going to be the cliffhanger for the next episode of the Elle Duncan Show. It's going to give us a little buffer to think about that.
That's great. Drop in the comment section what you think each one of us should do should we lose Dancing with the Stars. And then also in the comment section, you can tell us who actually won, because we both know we're not going to watch it.
With that, happy Thanksgiving, Elle.
Have a great Thanksgiving.
Eat plenty of green bean casserole.
Yes. Ugh. No thanks.
What?
Make sure to bring Abby's yams over, even though you guys aren't invited this year. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you.